Estate Agency X, the UK's #1 estate agency podcast discussing the future of estate agency, entrepreneurship and business with hosts Mark Burgess and Rob Brady.
Welcome to this episode of Estate Agency X. Today I'm talking to Dave Gibbons. Dave is an entrepreneur that owns an estate agency. So we dig into why the fuck you would actually buy an estate agency, what he found once he bought it and how he turned it all around. We also start digging into where things are going over the course of the next 5 years, AI, personal service, brokerage. We look at all of that sort of stuff. Hope you enjoy. Dave, thanks for coming in.
Of course.
I know you've been on the show before, but for those people that don't avidly listen to every single minute of every episode, can you just give us a little brief background on yourself and how you've managed to stumble into this industry?
Wow, okay, mate. I've got no idea I managed to stumble into this industry, probably the same as everybody else, to be honest, without, there was definitely not a path towards it. So I acquired an agency in and around, 10, 15 years ago now. I'm previously not from the industry. I don't class myself personally as an estate agent, as you well know. But I sit as the head of a small independent bespoke agency over in Warrington. We're not a huge outfit, but we try to do things differently. And I think majority of that comes from the background I've got in other businesses. So I kind of bring something new to the table when it comes to estate agency. And what we're trying to do with the current estate agent that we've got and the model that we've got is to grow that to a certain scale. We're not, I'm not trying to make it the biggest thing since God knows, since the wheel or whatever, but we want it to be one that's going to last. And I feel we're in very interesting times at the moment. And what's going to happen to agency going forward is a little bit up in the air. But yeah, for me, I suppose you could class me as an entrepreneur from different industries that brought a bit of a fresh light and new look to what estate agency is today. And that's pretty much where I find myself today. Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So when you acquired the estate agency, first of all, why did you acquire the estate agency? And second of all, when you acquired it, what sort of things did you see where you thought this is different to businesses that I've had before?
Yeah, well, acquired it because before the agency I was a property developer. So we built like a property portfolio, we were flipping houses, created a building company. And in all honesty, I just saw it as a way to help me out. It was nothing to do with helping the public sell their houses. I didn't really care about any of that stuff. What I cared about was what we were doing with our teams and how we could grow it. And I thought acquiring an agency would give me boots on the ground and ears on the ground to properties that are coming available. And then the property management for the portfolio would be done in-house. So it was nothing at all to help anybody else. It was purely to help me and what we were doing and access.
Imaginary secret drawer that stays.
It doesn't exist, by the way. I thought they did, but it just doesn't exist. This little black book doesn't exist. But it did help from a point. We bought a running agency. We didn't build it. We built it from one that was already bought, sorry. And it's been a bit of a roller coaster since finding out there is no black books.
No.
And none of the secrets that you thought were there actually ever existed.
Yeah. And that simple job of like, this is money for nothing turns out to be like just terrible.
Yes.
So when I first met you, you must have been, obviously we know each other well now, but when I first met you, you must have just been in that sort of process of looking through the systems that agents had. Because I kind of remember in our first meeting running through how life cycle worked, and I was used to people sort of going like, oh, blimey, this is something new, whereas you just seemed like, finally, it seems like there's something normal that I can use in this industry.
Yeah.
So like, what were some of the first things that you started, I don't know, to notice in that estate agency that you'd bought, where you just started thinking to yourself like, this doesn't make any sense?
Yeah, it was really difficult to get new custom.
Right.
I thought the job was dead simple. I still think it is very, very simple. It's an easy, teachable industry. But what's really difficult is getting new customers on board. And I think when you came around and started to look at your product, I was looking at loads of different things. I was looking at different marketing platforms. I was looking at using Zapier to connect loads of different things. I was looking at using things like ClickFunnels so that I could start getting my customers in. I understood that there was a big difference between the way I'd marketed my products before, because I'd always been in a product-led industry, and when I moved into a service-led industry, it completely changed. All of a sudden now I can't rely on the brands that I used to sell before and then just go in at a bit of a cheaper price. That just doesn't work here no more. So what have I got to do? And then when we had the chat the first time, I think I told you, like, this ain't happening. I'm not paying that much money.
Definitely.
Just go away.
Yeah.
And then we had a bit of a chat, and it was like, actually, this turns out that when I looked at what I was going to use and the solution that I tried to kind of just make up with the best information I had at the time, it worked out, it was cheaper, and it worked better. So yeah, I was always looking for ways that we could stay connected with our clients. I knew that it was to do with, I didn't know how it looked exactly, but I had this idea that I'm going to have to nurture these clients through now, because I have to build my own trust. And previously I'd always relied on the trust of brand A computer equipment and like the Sonys and the HP and the IBMs of this world. So when you're selling something like that, it's all on price and availability. When you're selling a service, it's not. It's all on trust. And how do you get trust? So yeah, that's kind of where we came around. And yeah, when we actually finally had the conversation, it was a case of, yeah, thank fuck, there's actually a piece of software out there now that didn't do exactly what I wanted to do, but it was a hell of the way there, and highlighted some things that I'd not seen, in all honesty.
Okay, and so, you've worked on the business, and now the estate agency is running a bit more how you would have wanted it to be running when you imagined it, I guess. Runs, doesn't need your everyday involvement, and it looks after it. That's right. Yeah. And you coach a lot of estate agents as well now, right? So what do you find is the most sort of common thing that comes up when you start speaking to an estate agency about coaching with them?
What comes up for me or that?
For them, like, there must be I've spoken to thousands of agents over the years, and you can probably narrow down the kind of conversations down into probably 10 conversations, if you like. Yeah. So what's some of the most reoccurring things that an agent says to you when you start the process of them saying, well, how would you help me? And then what starts to come out as they start talking to you?
Yeah, to be fair, the conversations always start with various different things that all end up leading to one. And the one thing that it all ends up leading to is they've not got a clue how to market themselves.
Right.
The teams, how they work, they seem to be stuck in a really outdated, predetermined set of rules that was created by an estate agent in like the 70s, 80s or whatever. And when you speak to them, and it's like, actually just the fundamentals of what you're trying to achieve here just doesn't work anymore. The way that the teams are separated. So basically they come to me, they want more business, they want an easier life. That's pretty much it. And when you dig down into it, the reason they've not got this easy life and the business flowing through is they don't have the marketing set up in the way that is attracting the right clients. They don't have anywhere to nurture the clients. And in all honesty, the culture of the companies is just out of whack completely. So
how are they generally trying to do it from your experience? Like the people that you've spoken to, what are they usually doing when they first turn up?
2020 letters, they're doing a lot of print work, they're doing bits on social media, but they don't really know what to put on there and how to articulate themselves to build trust within the marketplace. So you tend to find that they're putting on just listing after listing after listing, anything that's informative or would build trust within the customer's eye is done as a blog instead of getting on the camera and showing your authority in the areas. And that's something that I work on, building personal brands with people. But for the most part, that's it. Most people, they're like, how can I get the phone to ring more? How can I get better clients? How can I do X, Y, Z? And it's just not in a post it's in the way that you construct your business and how you send out the message to the world as to what you are, what you do, and how you can help them. Ultimately, we need to be useful and helpful to the end user who's our client. And by putting out a Facebook post every now and again, showing what house you've got and the little thing someone's typed up for you, just ain't going to cut it.
No. I mean, I guess we are in a absolute sea of content now, right?
Yeah.
It's funny, one of our sales girls was talking to me, woman, was talking to me yesterday about, she said she had a really great conversation with this company and they're considering using us, but they're also considering using this other company that does email marketing.
Yeah.
He said, but we'll only be going with somebody that's going to do the content for us. And she said, so, can we help with that? I said, well, we can help with it, but we should book him for a call so that I can have a chat with him. She was like, oh, okay, what would you say to him? I'd say, going with us or going with that other company is going to be the worst mistake of your life. She was like, what? I was like, no, seriously, like, when we first started this whole marketing automations thing, there wasn't that much content out there. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, there was a lot of people into it, but there was a lot of people not into it.
Yeah.
But now I think something like 60% of all university students rate themselves as a content marketer.
Yeah.
And it's a sea of it. So if you're just going to get some off-the-shelf content and put it out there, just save yourself and everybody else the trouble. Because, like, no one needs it, no one wants it, and you're going to actually pay for it.
Yeah.
And it's going to do fuck all.
Yeah, no one reads it.
It's like, and it's exactly what you're saying. It's like, you might have got away with it at some point. And even now, in our industry, the bar's so low that by doing some off-the-shelf content, you probably are better off than doing nothing. But it's not going to really move the dial on your business, is it?
No, I've seen a change in what the public are viewing and the trust that's changing. So we used to go from an individual basis years and years ago. Then it went to corporations, and we found trust in corporations, and they could handle what we had. And there was privilege to be dealing with the corporation because you felt like you weren't just dealing with one person. They had backup, this, that, and the other. And over the years, I think we've just found that that's been breaking down now. And I'm seeing a huge shift back towards that personal brand, that personal agent. I mean, we saw it with the traditional travel agents. They all went off the high streets.
Yeah.
There's a couple coming back, but what you're seeing a huge burst of are personal ones, because people want that. They want to be able to put their trust in somebody else. Like, me and you don't know, I can book a holiday, don't get me wrong, but if it's some crazy holiday where we want to do all this nice stuff, I don't want to trust a computer. I don't really want to trust a huge corporation, because now I just see them as numbers. I want that person who's done, and I'll pay for the service.
Yep.
I want that person who can really nail this for me, save me time and energy so I can be going off and doing the things that I'm pretty good at. And this is what's going to happen now. I'm seeing it. I've seen it through the travel agent industry. I'm seeing it through other industries. The estate agency industry right now is, in my opinion, on its last legs. You've got 5 years to become a content creator, the influencer of your town. And if you've not done it in 5 years, then, I mean, it still might not be the case, but if you've not done that, if you're not the number one person in your town in the next 5 years, just give up.
I think the thing with the 5-year prediction, is that if you rewind back to, I don't know, when did we first come into it? I first started Iceberg 2009.
Yeah.
And so during that period of time, what is that, 16 years?
Yeah.
I would have made a lot of 5-year predictions.
Yeah.
And people could sit there right now, like 16 years later, and go like, well, we're 16 years later and I'm still going. However, those things do come true. It doesn't mean that you're going to literally get wiped off the face of the planet. What it means is that you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
And there is literally so many people struggling now that were thriving in 2009. Yeah. There's so many people struggling now that were thriving in 2016.
Yeah.
And you just don't notice it. It's like weight gain or weight loss.
Yeah, yeah.
You just don't notice.
Little bits, isn't it? The 1%
a pound. You don't notice a little bit off your fee, a little bit less market share, a little bit, until suddenly you're sitting there thinking, this has become hard.
Yeah.
And you're not even conscious of the fact that someone else has gone, this has become easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And that's what's going to happen in, like you say, over those 5 years. Whether it's content, whether it's AI, whether it's automation, whether it's a personal service, whatever it is, it just stands to reason that you cannot just continue doing what you were doing in 2005. And that is what most people are doing, right?
100%. That's the issue. They're coming back and they're doing the outdated. I think we've got a slightly bigger problem at hand, and it's actually the setups of estate agents as well. The way that they're set up with regards to, you have a lister, you have a neg, you have a sales progressor, you have this, that. It's just completely decompartmentalized, even if that's a word. I don't know
Yeah.
whether that's the right word, and hopefully people will be able to understand what I'm saying. But in the world we're walking into right now, where AI is taking all of them jobs and doing a miles better job than any human can do, there's no room for administrative tasks anymore. And what we're going to find out very, very soon is if you've not got big hitters when it comes to listing, and nowadays they need to generate their own listings. It's not about the company providing it to the lister anymore, because that's just unimportant going forward with the way that AI is taking over and the ability that it's got. So what I'm saying here now, I've kind of jumped on the bandwagon of what you've been saying about the industry for a number of years. But what I'm saying is, look, just forget about any of that stuff now. This guy here is taking your job in the next 5 years. It's already happening now. And the biggest problem we've got is I think that people don't just need to have a look at the marketing. They really need to have a look at the whole setup of the companies, the people and the teams that they're hiring, the types of people that you're hiring for the jobs, because it's all changing so quickly. They're going to be left way behind and not have the teams to be able to actually fight these battles for them.
Do you think, though, that a problem there, I've often said this, is that most estate agents that own an estate agency were estate agents.
Yes.
And they know how to do estate agency. And this isn't me having a dig at anybody.
Yeah.
It's just a fact.
Yeah.
Right? Just like I was an estate agent and I didn't know how to run a business. And if I had set up a business at that point in time, I would have set up an estate agency because that's what I knew how to do. You probably set up a business from the job that you used to do.
100% did, yeah, did you?
And so somehow they have to, if you're running a business, you're going to have to do some investigating and speak to people like yourself or whoever it might be about how do you run a business? Because you know how to do estate agency.
Yeah.
And most of the estate agents that are listening to this podcast know how to do estate agency better than me or you.
100%. Yeah.
Right?
Well, I hope so.
So the question isn't like, how do I do estate agency better? Even that question that they're coming to you with in the coaching, like, how do I get better fees? And it's not about estate agency. There's not a secret word you say when you're on evaluation.
No, there's not.
It's about running a business.
Yeah.
And that is the bit whereby, like, often people are trapped within that box of, well, you have two negotiators.
Yeah.
You have your best one on the whatever side, the office of where the person walks in the door.
Yeah.
You have a plant on the table, and then the listers sit behind them, and then admin sits behind that. And that's how it works because we do estate agents.
Yeah.
Instead of maybe just flipping it around and going, forget you do estate agency for a minute.
Yeah.
How would this work just as a good business?
Yeah.
Like, why do you have that person? Well, they do viewings. Anything else? No. It's like, does that make sense anymore?
Yeah.
They just do viewings.
Yeah.
And when it comes to putting offers forward, that bloke over there does it. Like, okay, so they deal with the person and build the report all the way up to the point of then it goes over the. It's just like I was talking to someone about AI the other day. Actually, I went to do a presentation at Steve Beercock's place. All his staff were there, and he asked me to
awesome setup.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Asked me to do a presentation around AI, and he said to me afterwards, at one point, I thought I was going to have to stop you because you was taking everybody so far down.
I did the same.
Right? And he said, but then somehow you managed to bring it back. And basically what I was saying is, like, this system is going to do, it's going to book your viewings.
Yeah.
It's going to get your valuations. It's going to answer the phone. It's going to write your blogs. It's going to qualify leads. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. It's going to do this. And I think that was the point where he had staff in his audience thinking, the fuck am I going to do?
Yeah.
And then at the end I was saying, like, you will lose your job to AI.
Yeah.
If you bury your head in the sand.
Yes, you don't upskill.
Yeah. If you go, no. I'm good at what I do. No computer can ever do it. Right. The person doing exactly the same job next to you, if they go, how could AI help me? Like, they're going to become really fucking useful.
Yeah.
And just simple economics is going to mean you don't have a job and they do.
Yes.
So you don't have to run away from AI yet. One day we'll all have to run away from it. But
100%.
But just in terms of your job, you just have to think, how could I use it to help me? And you'll, like you say, you'll upskill, you'll move up the ladder. You'll be like, okay, And then you start thinking, okay, so that's where all the jobs are. Like, who's going to train your AI on this? Who's going to train your AI on that? Who's going to train your AI on... This is weird. But if you're stuck inside the world of, I don't know, I'm an estate agency and I do valuations, you're never even going to consider any of that stuff that you're talking about.
Not at all.
Breaking the company up. Like, I mean, the most basic version of it, should we have a videographer? Like, should we have a social media person? Now we're moving on to, should we have a AI person that teaches our system about property?
Yep.
Should we have an AI person that teaches our system about conveyancing?
Yeah.
All on and on and on we go.
Yeah. Train it.
So is that where when you're saying like 5 years' time, if you're just sitting there doing estate agency as an estate agent with a valuer, a neg, and an admin person, no one needs you.
No one needs you anymore. Yeah. And more so for the teams that listen to this, it literally is. If you were just a lister, then your worth is going to be dramatically decreased as time goes on, as AI can help out. So what's really, really important for business, and it's about what comes in that front door, the new business that comes in, who's generating that business?
Yeah.
How's that business being generated? Because that's what's really valuable to the team. And if that's you, great, you've got a job. And you're going to be the content creator, you're going to be the face of the brand, or maybe one of many faces of the brand. But if you're not, what the question you've got to ask yourself is, where do you think your seat is going to be within this organization when in another 5 years, when we just don't need you? What's really going to be important is we're going to have tons and tons of people now as AI comes in and starts to take away the power from the big portals, for example, which is definitely going to happen. It's already doing it now. You can run a test on any one of the AIs you use, ask it for, a particular type of house in your local area, and you'd be amazed at the results that it brings out to you. And it's not even started yet. Yeah. So when all of the attention has come off Rightmove, because at the moment for estate agents it's pretty easy. You can put it on Rightmove and you're gonna be half of the way there.
Yeah.
But as AI comes in, what my probably concern is, and my thought process is that all of that's going to lose its power. It's not going to be Rightmove against all agents. So the ones who are listening to this now, you might find that great. The downside is it's going to be down to the individual influencers, companies, corporations to go out into the world and figure out, number one, how can we get AI to find our stuff before anybody else's? How can we make it look as good as possible? And how can we build a trust with these clients? And if you're not doing that, that's what my worry is for the next 5 years.
Yeah. And I suppose like there will be people listening thinking like, well, how do we do it? How do we do it? But I guess no one knows how you do it. The point is that you're supposed to be finding out.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be just putting your head under a rock and waiting for someone else to find out.
That's it. I mean, we're going through, like I say, it's unprecedented times. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. All you can do is basically, listen to the ones that have spent a hell of a lot of time researching into AI. Look at the developments. Don't stick your head in the sand right now and don't start asking this thing questions. Start using it. You'll be amazed at what it's going to do. But it's definitely going to be changing the landscape for where we're at. And if you do stick your head in the sand, which is what we were talking about before, that's where I see a huge, huge problem.
When you were shaking up the agency that you bought, were there people working there that were just kind of in the beginning saying, no, you just don't understand, it doesn't work like that in a estate agency? And how did you get past some of that? Like with, I don't know, did you put the fees up at any point, for instance?
Yeah. So the history of the company was we used to have a lister before me. So I came in and I turned it around. It was in and around COVID, and I was kind of forced into it because I've never been hands-on in the agency. I've always bought it, and I see myself more as an investor in the company, and also the mentor for my own particular companies. But we had a lister, and she was leaving and going to Devon. I looked at the business. I'd kind of left it for years and years and thought it was doing all right until I looked at it and then realised, actually, we're not that good. It's pretty shit. It's not making any money, this thing. And we're not that great. So I realised that we had to up our fees, we had to up our service levels and everything else. So the way I did it is I did it probably the quickest way I possibly could, which is the hard way. Go out and prove to them that this is possible.
Yeah.
So I changed the way we did things. I started to introduce a videographer on every single shoot, professional photographs on every single one, not a phone anymore. I'd go out and we upped our fee from £999, went to 1%, and then now we're at 1.5 standard fee plus VAT. That made a huge difference. Then I'm looking and go, well, I don't need 10 listings a month now at 1% or whatever it is. I only need 6 or 7 at 1.5. I'm doing less work, more money. And once I started to do that, I got about the first 10 to 15 listings on, and then I trained another member of the team up to take my role. But I had to show them that it was possible. It was really difficult before that, because they were like, no, you've never done this, Dave. You can't do it. You know, I know you're like a bull in a china shop sometimes. You just want to go and get this stuff, but you need to understand about this, that. Yeah, I'm like, fuck that. You don't need to do any of that shit. Let me just crack on and do what I want to do. And we did. We upped our fee by upping our service level and what we brought to market. But it took the hard graft of walking down that street for about 6 months until they finally were like, okay, I get it now.
Do you think when you first started, you maybe inside thought, yeah, this ain't worth 1.5%, and that's why you started to think, well, what could we do for people if I want to charge 1.5%, and you started rebuilding it?
Yeah. I never thought that it wasn't worth the 1.5% what we were doing before, because I didn't really know any different. So it wasn't a case of that. What I thought was, number one, I'm not working for this type of money. It's who's working like a dog for like next to now. And look at the end of that, this just is not going to work. So I knew I had to charge more than other people. And I didn't really have an issue with this, because in previous industries and things that I'd done, that's what we do. We sell the high ones, but the price was never an issue. And that's what I had to try and figure out in a estate agent. How do I get to the place where the price isn't the issue?
Yeah.
What is the issue for these people? And that's a whole new story and how you have to listen more and speak. But I just knew that if I was going to do it, I had to make a big song and dance about what was great about us, really show people. We were the first ones locally to do presenter-led tours, and we made a big splash about it. And our marketing kind of moved towards that. So, we did raise everything. And on the back of it, we've got the systems in place now that help us do that.
And how did you, well, what did you find out, and how did you find it out when you did start trying to figure out, well, why is the reason they don't want to go ahead then if it's not the price?
I knew it was trust, but I didn't know how to build trust back then. Being from a different industry, I was like, okay, well, what would you build trust? And it took a long time.
Because you'd had the trust transference of a major brand previously.
We didn't need trust before. We were literally like cowboys at this. You know, we were just brokers. We didn't give a shit. It was just buy it, sell it, stack it high.
Still an actual machine of whoever's.
Yeah, I don't care. As long as we buy it cheap. And everyone bought from us because we were the cheapest with the best availability. And that's what is important when you're dealing in branded goods.
Yeah.
But in service, it's different. So it's like, okay, how do I get out there now that we are the best thing since sliced bread in the estate agency world? Initially, it was showcasing a lot better than other people. And then it was the likes of Chris Watkin. We both know.
Yeah.
Really nice guy. And I read a lot of his stuff, and it was all about, right, you've got to entertain the client. It's all about them. It's not about you. It's not about your listings. And I was like, he's definitely onto something here. This is what I'm thinking back then. And he is definitely onto something with this. He's bang on right. And it was, how can we serve them best instead of serving us first? And when you get that into your head, your whole game changes.
I thought you were going to say I started taking along cheap tellies. And I took one of these.
You get an iPad here.
On my watch. Rolex.
Yeah, no.
That might work though.
It did in some industries, but it don't work in this one.
Yeah. So how are you going to navigate the course of the next 5 years then? Like, you know, you've said about like how other people have got to do it. Mm-hmm. What are you thinking about in terms of your business? Because, I know you've got several businesses, but in terms of the estate agency, like, you've turned it around from something that was just chugging along, not making any money, but it didn't matter because they were just managing your properties and just sending you the occasional stuff to buy. And eventually you thought, I want it to make money. So you turned that around. Yeah. You've implemented the technology, you've implemented the training, the systems and all of that. And now it's a fantastic business. I've seen it working myself. It's a great business to look at as an example. So what happens for you over the course of the next 5 years then?
My job is to basically keep the company afloat. Whilst it's afloat, that means we're doing good stuff. I've not crashed it anywhere. So I don't work on the day-to-day of the business. As you know, I come in, I only work probably half a day a week on the business, going on a Monday morning, and that's pretty much it. But my directions to the team and my advice to the team now is you've got to become the local influencers in the property market within the Warrington area. That is your main job. That's how we're going to get the listings. And on the back of that, then I'm providing content from various different sources, but we don't just put it out as a blog. We do a blog. It's a video on, and I'm trying to get the faces out there. So I'm trying to build familiarity and I'm trying to build trust within the marketplace based on solid information that's really valuable to home movers. What does that look like? Local market updates. How can we help particular areas? And what we're doing is we're niching down onto who we really, really want. So I've established for us, it sits between the 300 and 700 grand market. It's your family market, predominantly your 3-bed semis, your 4-bed detached houses that are, management level style houses. That's great for us. We love them. We're not really that interested in your £1 million plus ones. They look great on your sheets and you can do some awesome marketing, but they're harder to sell. Not as many people want them. And I don't think that the juice is worth the squeeze when it comes to that. I think the most profitable market, certainly for us, and I would hazard a guess that it's actually the most profitable market, full stop, in estate agents in the UK, is the family market. So to get our message across correctly and be the influencers, we can't be everything to everyone. We're really focusing on it. So we've got to be the local influencers for the family market in the Warrington area. They've got to go out and do their own videos. And we've also got now our media team, and it's bigger than the estate agency team. So it's like we've got one lister. I've got 3 guys in marketing. I've got my designer, a videographer. We outsource videography as well. And we've just employed a new girl to the team, Alex. And her job is literally to go around Warrington finding the best places for families. That's all her job is. And we do videos on it. And then we collab with local companies who've got big followings. And we go and do videos to local bars, restaurants. And we call it Courtyard Out and About. Yeah. So when people come to us, when they're moving into area from outside of area, they want to know what's hot around. Yeah. So we're giving it to them. But really what we're doing in the background is we're building data. We want people to click on our links. We want to give them something that's attractive to them. I'll tell you now, a quick video on a local cafe or restaurant will get you 5 times more views from the local public, clicks, likes, shares, everything else, than any of your blogs ever will do.
100%.
And we're using that as like a little bit of breadcrumbs for the guys to come in.
But that goes back to what you were saying before about understanding how to build trust with people, doesn't it? Because if you're talking to, I don't know, if there is such a thing, your traditional estate agent is in a 3-piece suit doing 2020 letters, and you say a video about a local family-run coffee shop will get you more views, he would immediately go, but it's not going to get me any valuations. Yeah. So it's just about understanding like that process, isn't it? Of how does the world work now? How do people take little bite-sized bits of content and slowly work their way towards, I quite like these people.
Yeah. Got to work with the algorithm. So it starts off as they watch it, then they watch another one, then they like it.
Yeah.
Then before you know it, they've clicked on and they've liked you as a company, and more of your content is coming their way.
Yeah, we all get to experience it as consumers. I think just a lot of people have difficulties trying to figure out how their company will do it, because when you look at a video, like you say, the algorithm kicks in, you're going to start getting remarketing stuff.
Correct.
So I don't need to, first of all, tell you that we are the best estate agent in the town. I just need you to watch a piece of content.
Yeah.
And now the algorithm will start telling you that we're the best estate agents in the town. Yeah. Slowly take you on the journey. And it all just seems to happen at the perfect time.
Yeah.
Right? We don't know how it works. Just the computers know how it works.
Yeah.
Life cycle, Facebook, Google, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Just takes care of it for you.
Yeah,
right?
Of course it does.
So let's talk a little bit about artificial intelligence then. So where do you see that going? We spoke about it briefly there, but in sort of, I don't know, relatable, real terms.
Yeah.
Is there anything where you're thinking like, I think it's gonna work like this for us?
Yeah. Okay. So I think basically, if you are in any type of administration role in any industry, you've got some big problems coming, because AI just instantly is going to take that away. I think.
But who's doing the double checking of it, or are we not doing double Is there no double checking, or I don't know? How do you see that side of things?
With regards to what?
I don't know. I mean, like, let's think of an administrational role.
Booking viewings.
Booking viewings. Like, so someone wants a viewing, the system's going to take the details, have a chat with them, find out their information, book them into the diary. You're just going to turn up and do the viewing personally.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of when you're doing a diary for an estate agency, they've got a few little quirky rules around their diary, haven't they? Like, I don't want to go there on Tuesday. I'm already going there on Thursday.
Yeah.
Or I don't really want to take that person because, they haven't, I don't know, maybe they've not even got their house on the market yet. Like, get me a valuation first. Like, do you think AI is just going to solve all that for you without any need for anyone to, like, get involved in it? Or do you think that, I don't know, there still need to be a human? Or
I think initially we're going to need to train. We're going to need to train it. We're going to need to show it what it's there to do. But ultimately, once it's got that, then there is no need for the person after that point, because it's like, how do you double check it? Well, you can double check with your team members if you want. That's up to you. You either trust your team to do it, and that comes via a process of elimination, and we try it, and like, this guy fucks up all the time, so I'm going to check his work. This guy never cocks up, so it's probably all right. It's going to go through, and it's going to work on percentages, and you're going to have to just assess it like you would do. AI will not get it wrong as long as you've input the data. So if you're going to tell, young Stuart, the neg, about the diary rules and make sure Tuesdays I go and play golf and this, I do X, Y, Z and that, he knows. But if you don't tell him that and he books in a viewing, then it's not his fault as the AI. So as long as you're putting in the right detail into the computer in initial, it's like a calculator. It's going to give you exactly what you want, assuming you put in the right sum.
Yeah. As long as you come back as well and go like, you've just said, I've just done a viewing with like Tom and Sue, and this was their circumstances, and I don't really like doing viewings like that. And the AI will say, oh, okay, would you want me to check that before our next book of viewing?
Yes.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
That's it. Yeah. So over time, and what I'm talking about now is I can see that we're just in the process. Phone calls. In 5 years' time, I would bet my bottom dollar that the phone calls are as good, if not better than humans. Yeah. They're getting there now. They're not as good as they could be right now, but they're getting there. Then we're going to move on to digital avatars, which all look sexy. They're all confident. They're all fucking A players. It's a scary, scary world. So right now, I think in 5 years, if you're going to start in 5 years' time, you're probably too late.
Yeah.
But right now, I think the bar has never been any lower than it currently is. Not that many agents, based on the majority of the ones I speak to, are really set in their old traditional regimes. The brokerages seem to do it a lot better, in my personal opinion, because of that one-to-one contact. I think that's just a much better product for the end-user client.
Yeah.
And the more these brokers start shouting about it, and I'll be one of the guys who'll be shouting about the fact that, dude, you do realize if you deal with a traditional estate agent, here's how it looks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think 5 years and that'll be it. Then we're going to have the digital. We're going to have the digital influencers, which are going to be via AI. We're going to have the phone calls done via AI. It's going to be more efficient. We can effectively run 24-hour operations. Not that anyone needs to check their house at 11 o'clock at night, but it's possible. And what's really, really important now for most companies, for every estate agent company, is the marketing and the input into their data is the crucial thing that most people just overlook.
Yeah, that's just so true. I mean, as you say, most estate agents they've not. I see it as it came in levels where we're going now. At the very bottom level, there was like way back in 2010, 11, marketing automation, where we could get some of this stuff to do things automatically, which kind of led us into big data. We didn't really know where that was going to go, but we kind of knew we needed to be collecting all this data in specific pots. And then behind the scenes, OpenAI built these large language models that could understand the data that we'd put into pots. And now here we are with artificial intelligence that can do things because you've got data in pots.
Yeah.
But most agents, or most businesses, small businesses, in fact, haven't done that bit yet.
No.
The data's they're still saying, I've got loads of data, but it's not in a system that's been built for big data. It's just
it's not clean,
massive pile of rubbish.
Yeah. You sift through it, and like the needle in a haystack.
Yeah, and if you put AI on that, it's going to come up with garbage.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it'll come out with some interesting stuff, but half the time it'll come out with rubbish, and it'll leave you thinking, this don't work.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's right. But what did you expect it to do? You
Yeah.
just sent it to the rubbish tip and said, see if you can find me
You
anything.
can't put 2 + 6 into a calculator. I hope it's going to say 4.
Yeah.
It's just ain't going to happen.
So I guess it starts there, and then you've got the either one or the other. I guess it either starts there, and then you start trying to figure out how to work on your business, or you start trying to figure out how to work on your business, which leads you there.
Yeah.
They're kind of the starting point for both, aren't they?
Yeah.
People that are listening, I'm just thinking, people that are listening to this that are just thinking, like, what, right, where do I go? I guess we are saying, like, well, you've got to get yourself out of the business.
Yeah.
And you've got to get the right systems in the business. And you only get the right systems in the business if you can get yourself out.
Yeah.
And possibly you only get yourself out if you can get the right systems in. So there's going to be a bit of a messy time
Yeah.
where you're kind of doing both.
Yeah.
But the end goal, I guess, has got to be you're the person who's now looking at what systems should be in the business, and they all look good.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. So if there's people out there that are thinking to themselves, like, I need to have a chat with Dave, like,
Don't
don't have a chat with him. Like,
Yeah.
what's like? I know you're on all the different socials
Yeah.
and stuff, but is there one where someone's actually likely to get a response from you more than another?
Facebook. Don't try and mess
So the old
through Messenger.
Facebook,
Yeah,
the old-
I'm old school. Yeah,
Oh, wait.
I'm not on Instagram, and my LinkedIn has not been updated in about 10 years. So yeah, you wouldn't think I was in business or a coach, but I am. Best place, Facebook. If you don't know me, try and reach out through there. If you do send me a Facebook Messenger, I probably won't read it for about a week, and I'll get back. Once you're on WhatsApp, though, you're all good.
I love it. Thanks for coming in.
No worries, mate. Thank you.